Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining Wonder, Repeat. I have Brad and Lauren from Prodigal Overland on here tonight, so we'll get to learn where they've been and where they're going.
Hey, Cara.
Did you recognize yourself in that video?
I did. I said I was there for that and that time.
I know. And I was the one that's like 27-degree angle. That was my first wheeling experience. And I was pretty sure I was going to die.
Mm-hmm. Matt was about to send you into the mud pit.
Into the depths. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, Brad comes around and just goes over the left side of me.
But not through.
No, you didn't. No. We didn't. None of us went through.
Wow.
Matt
went through. Yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy. So who are y'all? What are y'all doing? Where are you at? Because y'all are camping, aren't you?
We're pretty much always camping, if that includes being in an RV.
Of course.
When you're homeless, that's how it works.
You're not homeless. You're now looking for a home, though, right?
Yeah, we bought. We're buying land. We're under contract for land near the Asheville area.
In North Carolina.
And we'll have about 3 acres of land, but the housing market is not very friendly to people wanting to build or purchase homes at this point. So it's going to be a process. So we'll probably be in our 40-foot rig for, I'm guessing, 2 more years.
Oh, I hope not. We may be with you, Cara.
Hi, Court. Come on. It's a little bit warmer here than it is there. I can tell you that. I think we're in what we call in Arkansas false fall. So it's like I think it's fall, and by the afternoon it's summer again, and then you're just confused.
Yeah,
it's pretty rough. But you're used to living in a camper. Tell me a little bit about your story. Y'all have been full time, and now you're recently transitioning. But tell us about that.
So what, in 2019?
Yep, in September of 2019. So before COVID hit, we kind of sold everything. Sold our house, quit our jobs, sold most of our stuff, and moved into a 25-foot hybrid travel trailer with our 3 kids and 2 large dogs. And mind you,
what ages were the kids in?
Camping trip.
What ages were the kids at that point?
The kids were, let's see, right now they are 9, 12, and 15. So
they're still
7, what was it? 7, 10, and 13.
Oh, wow.
So
sold it all. How did they feel about that? Were they excited? And you said you'd not only been on one camping trip.
Prior, yeah. We just kind of tested it out, and then that's kind of how I do things mostly. Is just, stick my finger up. See, yep, that'll work.
So they were excited, nervous?
Yeah, I think both. The youngest one didn't know what to expect, so he was just excited. I mean, he would live in the woods if he could. His favorite things to climb trees and get dirty.
All the boy things.
Yes.
Our oldest, Caleb, he is very easygoing. He's always been kind of the kid. He's fine wherever he is. Our daughter was the one that had the hardest time. So you can sort of see her in that picture there.
There's a better one.
So she had some best friends that lived on our street, and that was the hardest part for her, leaving her friends that she saw every day.
Yeah, that's a rough age for a girl.
So it took her a little bit, but then actually I think she was the one that embraced it the most there, probably about 6 months in. Mm-hmm. She loves being outdoors and the national parks and just kind of discovering things. She's very artsy and craftsy, and so she loves getting out there and exploring and making things out of stuff she finds, and
like little acorns and stuff. She'll make little things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
she learned how
awesome.
to make clay in Moab.
Yeah.
And then she made products and sold them. And
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like, yeah, I guess you really are homeschooling on the road, right? Like you were doing all the
Yep.
homeschooling.
We
truly,
sure do.
it is road schooling. I mean, is what you
Yeah.
call it. So there's a lot of flexibility in that. We homeschooled before we hit the road, so that
Okay.
wasn't a new thing for us. But
Mhm.
kind of transitioning to using our location for the education,
Yeah.
for science and history and that kind of stuff. That's what we would learn.
I love that. I love that so much. So y'all are with Prodigal Overland. Where did you get your name? How did that start? Was this something that you just got tired of your jobs one day and you're like, we're out? I mean, what made that switch over?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Tell me all the
two-part
things.
question. The name itself comes from the parable of the prodigal son that
Okay.
Jesus told, which is a son that basically goes to his dad and asks for his inheritance way early before his dad is dead,
Mhm.
and then takes all of that inheritance and runs off and just kind of wastes it and squanders it. And so he hits a low point in the story. I think he's wallowing in some mud, contemplating eating pig food. When he realizes, he comes to his senses and realizes that his dad has lots of servants that are very well cared for. And so he says to himself, I can't be called a son anymore, but I want to go home. I want to be a servant. And I think the part of the story that gets me the most is as the son's coming back, rehearsing kind of the speech he's going to give his dad. Jesus in the story he's telling says that the dad sees him while he's still a long way off and comes running to him. And so I think this idea of redemption, and I always get choked up when I talk about
I
this.
love
But,
it. No, I love it. I love it.
this idea of redemption.
We're all going to be crying. It's
Yeah.
okay.
And a dad that's seeking lost things. And even where it fits, it's like the third of 3 parables Jesus tells about seeking lost things. And so, we live in a world today that is pretty eager to, we cut each other down pretty well. If you messed up, like when you were in 3rd grade, you're done.
Yeah. There's no grace.
Yeah, there's no grace. And so just this idea of a dad who was basically offended and slighted by this son who said, Dad, I wish you were dead. Give me your inheritance. And yet he's out there looking for his son to come back. And so that just really hit me. And I think it's a beautiful
He saw him
story.
from a ways away, which just in the fact that he saw him in a ways, you knew he was looking.
Right. Exactly. Had to be out there looking. It's not like someone ran in and say, hey, look who showed up. Like he's out there actively longing for his son to return. And so I just think it's beautiful that we can mess up in life and have hard times, but we have a God, a dad that's just looking for us to return. And that just really struck a chord. Yeah.
Yeah. So y'all just, were you feeling that in that moment as far as caught up in the worldly things and you wanted to return to?
Not so much the worldly things. I just, and you can ask my kids. Well, yeah, we had some things going on in our marriage that were, but as far as that story itself, I was always, I wasn't like a rebel, but I wasn't really, I don't know. My kids, you can ask my kids what kind of dumb things. We play this game. What stupid things did dad do when he was a kid? And my kids will just rattle off because I tell them all the dumb things I've done. And so they can rattle off just my worst moments in life. But yeah, it's just like I said, I just think that idea of redemption and as kind of what we like to do and want to do as we go out is, and if you've been out with us on any of our trips, it's about the people, not so much about the gear or the vehicles, but just finding that community and the connections you make when you're out on the road.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And that's honestly the reason why I wanted to do the podcast. Because, we do all the gear reviews, we do all the events, and we do all the mods, and we talk about the vehicle. But vehicles die. They come and go. We are the drivers. We are the heart behind that. Everything that we do is an inspiration of who we are. I think that's why this show makes it even more personable, because it connects you to that person, because we all have something to contribute, and there's always a heart behind the matter. And I want people to know the person more than their vehicle or more than the gear. I want them to know, how we're all connected, that kind of thing. So
absolutely.
I love that story. I
Yeah.
obviously, I'm a Christian, so I figured that was where that was coming from, but I didn't know the tie-in and the personal.
Yeah, and if you
for
actually
sharing that
look
with
at our
me.
logo, that's what the logo is supposed to be. Is
That
the
sun.
dad is up on the mountain, and if you look in the distance, there's a figure coming down the road, and just that idea.
Oh, I've not looked in the distance.
Yeah, it's there. You got to look kind of down in the distance.
I'm gonna have to go get my hat.
There's a boy coming down the road, and so that's just where that
Stop
logo idea
it.
came from. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna cry again. We can just stop right now because I need to take a moment and cry. Okay, so what got you in to overlanding camping? So you decided you wanted the trailer, and then that's where you were going to start. And you have were you always in the Jeep Grand Cherokee? You have a Trailhawk WK2?
So we started from scratch when we hit the road. Actually, when we were first looking at full timing, we were looking at doing a true overland style. And we actually were in the process of working with someone to make a custom kind of little tow behind trailer. Okay. And that kind of fell through some different channels and stuff. And the more we looked at it, and the more we thought about it, we thought that might be a little crazy for us right now, considering we've only camped once as a family prior to doing this.
Especially with 3 kiddos. And 2 dogs.
And 2 dogs.
Yeah.
So we reined it in a little bit, and I'm really glad we did. And so we started out with a 25-foot hybrid travel trailer, and then about 4 months into it full time, we decided we needed something more. Our oldest son was almost 6 foot at the time already, and he was only 13. Oh. And it wasn't fair to make him be in these little cots or on these things. Yeah. And we just thought, if we're going to do this long term, we'd like a little bit more flexibility and space to spread out. So then we got the 5th wheel, and we were so excited it had a door.
You're like, we can walk through it.
we would sit on the couch. It has a couch. We'd sit on the couch and shut the sliding glass
There's a
door.
sliding. The kids
like a screen door.
They sleep in the garage. It's a toy hauler, so it's meant to haul ATVs and all that. But
we haul our kids and the dogs. So
yeah. I mean, that counts, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and
they're expensive, like a toy hauler.
Yeah. You're not kidding. And then so now, actually, we are kind of transitioning more into true overlanding. We've taken a few trips in between, and usually we try a lot. We did a lot of dry camping and boondocking in our rig, but you can only take a 40-foot 5th wheel so many places,
Yeah.
But so we're kind of excited now to really make more of a transition to true overlanding.
Yeah. Because that's something that's changed here recently for you too. So you've had the WK2, and Lee Gibson, she's always wanted to know why the Trailhawk for your vehicle. Was it for the room for the family, or was there another reason?
So we needed a vehicle that could tow our house. And so when we had the 25-foot hybrid trailer, we were able to tow that with the Grand Cherokee. It had the Hemi in it, I think our gross vehicle weight on the trailer. You had the Hemi. Yeah, it was like 6,500 pounds or something. Mm-hmm. So we actually towed our house with the Grand Cherokee when we started. Yeah.
In our house.
Yeah. So that was partly that, and for the room. And honestly, so that was all part of it. I've always wanted a Jeep, and I had test driven a Wrangler and a Grand Cherokee. And the Wrangler, like I said, I mean, we were talking before the show, but I get car sick very easily, actually. Mm-hmm. So I just, even on the test drive with the Wrangler, I was just feeling a little like there's too much.
It's like riding a horse. And I know Matt's JKU was rough.
So we went, and then the Grand Cherokee, and then so mostly like space and towing, but there was definitely a part of it where, because I was also looking at like the Toyota 4Runner, which was very much accepted and
Those
used,
are nice. Yeah.
and but on paper the Grand Cherokee had a bigger engine, it had more luxury features, and I just couldn't really figure out why people weren't using it more. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely one to try things that maybe not everybody's trying, and so that also kind of steered me that.
He likes
direction.
trying to prove something,
Well, definitely with the Trailhawk, I loved riding. I had a Jeep Wrangler. I've had both, and Matt obviously has driven the Jeep Wrangler and now has a Gladiator, which we'll get to that in just a second. But I find it more challenging and more exciting and all of that when you are pushing yourself a little bit out of the comfort zone limits, because some things, if you build a Jeep big enough and it can accomplish everything, it becomes boring. Like we actually took the Gladiator to Moab, and we let one of the guys that drives a 4Runner drive the Gladiator up Hell's Gate. Like Matt stood at the top and just guided him, and when he got at the top, he was like, okay, that was boring. Like, see, like you can overdo something so much that you're just like, this really isn't fun.
Yeah, it's kind of can be reducing returns, is that the more built out your rig is, the more challenging of trails you actually have to tackle to feel like you're getting that same reward or feeling of adventure or accomplishment. So you're kind of narrowing the scope of trails that you can get that same feeling with when you're super built out like that.
So let's talk about this picture. This looks like Slick Rock. Where is this at?
That is Fins and Things.
Is it Fins and Things?
Yep, in Moab. And there's it's on the southern section, and it's an alternate, like it's an optional obstacle.
You always take the optional obstacles?
I like to try, yeah.
So let me tell you, Cara, the first time we did that trail, we were by ourselves in Moab. This was really early on, completely by ourselves. We had done maybe 2 trails. It was our first Jeep Badge of Honor trail. And we got to that obstacle, and there were 3 Wranglers in front of us, these guys in front of us.
And they're looking at you like, oh gosh.
Well, we both kind of stopped at the thing, and we were both looking at it, and I'm like, you guys go ahead. And they're like, no, it's okay. We can. And I said, no.
Oh, they were really cool. That's glad. Because sometimes Jeep people can be a little.
Really nice. Yeah. But the first one made it up.
No, the first one, it was the first one went to go do it, and he hit his rear diff on a spot and nearly flipped backwards. He had just a 2-door, I think, and almost flipped the thing over backwards. And then,
So more than, okay. Yeah.
And then he worked himself. I think did his wife get down or something? I don't know. But after that, they decided.
The rest of his group.
They all were like, we're going to go the other way.
We're out.
So then this guy, it's me and the kids, right? We've never done this before. We have no.
Which you're normally the spotter, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And this was really early on. I had no experience spotting before we started 2 years ago.
You're a pretty good spotter.
So, this was, he looks at me and he goes, we're going to try it. I'm like, okay, you're getting my kids out of the car first.
What he means is we're going to do it because they didn't.
Exactly. And so, he looked at it, looked at the line, and he made it up there right away.
Yeah.
And and that's pretty much how every obstacle goes for us.
Yeah. I'm going to say
make it up there right away, but
so I got one of my friends, they got the Trailhawk. I was actually looking for a Jeep Grand Cherokee. I had no clue what a Trailhawk was. I just knew that my husband would not allow me to get anything that wasn't a Jeep at that point, which he's now said that I could get the Ford Bronco. Just kidding. He hasn't, but I'm going to go ahead and say that because I'm believing, if I keep thinking that, it's the power of
I'm going to wear him down.
Something. But anyways, so I got the Trailhawk because of a friend's wife who got one, and I was just like, oh, that's real capable. And then I started searching, YouTube, and I found you guys, and I think I messaged you, and I was just like, tell me all about the things. And y'all are so inspiring for what you do in that rig, because there's places that you have been, like Poison Spider. I would never do those things because it just terrifies me. There's a picture that you sent, and I remember this video because you actually had to help your son climb down. And I remember you saying, you've got to turn into this. And that was one heck of a spotter down there, because he knew that rig, or I don't know if you had told him beforehand, but you have to turn in, because a lot of times you want to go in this situation where the tire is hanging off the ledge. You want to go to the left. No, not here. You want to turn and make sure that tire is firmly planted.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice?
You do some crazy things in that
picture too. The duct tape by my rear wheel.
The
bumper came off on the way
Oh
up.
my gosh, I see that now. It's just held together by duct tape. That's some love. And that's where you had the gasoline. You could smell the gasoline after.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we broke our windshield wiper bottle. We cracked it.
Yeah.
Getting down. We were so exhausted by the end of that trail. We just started just get off this trail. And we took some easy sections a little too fast and
Yeah. So did you tell the Wranglers that you made it? Did they see you make it?
No, I think they were.
They saw us get to the top. They didn't see us go back down.
No, this is about the other one.
The other one. Yeah.
No, I don't think we caught up with them again.
Gotcha.
We often will on a lot of the trails we do. People often look at us, like you're in the wrong place, wrong spot, and then even when we did Top of the World down at the bottom, you just get these looks at and then they see at the top.
Of the world.
We either airlifted our vehicle there, or we, came up the same stuff they did. So
yeah, I totally get that. Whenever I was climbing Hell's Gate in my WK2, I haven't seen you.
Yeah, good for you.
That terrifies me. I will not spot him on it.
Well, Matt has agreed to come and spot you for that.
Yeah.
But
video.
I had people, once they hear, there's people on those trails all the time. Yeah. And so I'm sitting at the top, and there's an old Toyota FJ something. I don't even know the year. But it's really broken down, and it's on the gate, and they have a winch cord tied to the top of that Toyota while he's welding it on Hell's Gate. And here I am at the top of Hell's Gate, and I am nervous as all get out, because I have driven my Wrangler, and I know that I can know where to go, and I'm just comfortable. Not comfortable with the Grand Cherokee, because that's, like I told Matt, it's like a Walmart trip. We're going to Hell's Gate, and we're getting there, and then after that but before we get there, we're going straight there. And so I get there, and you have all these people come up, and I didn't know this because, I'm driving and focused, because whenever that's going on, I can only listen to the radio of Matt talking.
Sure. Yeah.
I have to zone out. But in the video, there's all these people at the top asking, is there a 2-year-old in the back seat, in the car seat? And all these comments, and one little kid.
So you're late for soccer practice.
Yeah, I know. I guess I took a wrong turn by the mall. And so I hear this in the video, this kid, and he's like, Dad, that's a girl driver. And so it's just it's things like that I'm like, yeah, it is. And so I proved that, and I proved it to myself. But I was totally sitting at the top praying to God, if I'm meant to go. And so I got I just felt God give me peace, and he gave me that verse, in the heights I'm with you, and in the depths I'm with you. Yeah. And so I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
It still terrifies me. But you, Lauren, struggle. You don't like to do those things. Tell me how that works out.
I actually have not done Hell's Revenge with him.
Oh, not at all?
Would not do
it. So here's the deal. To be fair, we did Poison Spider before he did Hell's Revenge. And after Poison Spider, I was a bit traumatized. And I really do struggle with the heights. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about this. I said, I like the technical. I think it's fun. It adds the challenge. But for me, when there's that drop off on either side,
the consequence level of 10.
And then I get a little panicky and nervous. And so I don't trust my spotting skills when I'm feeling that anxious.
Yeah.
And it's just all a mental game. It's all mind.
Have you ever driven?
Not too much. I have not driven too much. I know. He tells me I need to drive more.
It totally changes because you feel like you have control. I don't know, but why? But you feel like, hey, you can't look over there. If it's on that side, you're good. But you are in control of the vehicle. You know where to turn. So that way you're not just sitting over here holding on and praying for dear life. It totally changes your mentality. I don't know. It just does.
He's like, yeah, I told you.
I strongly suggest that.
So
but
a little
yeah,
background
poison
is
spiders would have terrified me if I did that first.
Yeah. So, I mean, a little background to that is the job that I quit before we hit the road full time. I worked with traumatic brain injury and spinal cord. I'm an occupational therapist. And so all that goes in my head is I know what that looks like if you survive. So I often pray when we're doing tubes and say, could we just die? Because I do not want to survive this.
Yeah, I totally understand. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Totally get it. So now though, you have a new vehicle besides the WK2.
Yeah. We so through our WK2 adventures, we had a couple times. I mean, you're kind of running out of ground clearance. We've had that several times.
Yeah, because it only goes up 2.5.
Right.
With the push of a button.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing, because the Grand Cherokee has it's got a limited slip differential in the rear and a brake lock differential up front. And we have had a couple situations where that front brake lock was not enough to really get us through what we wanted to get through. And honestly, as you get going on stuff, wanting to be able to tackle trails that I wasn't like sincerely worried that we'd either roll the vehicle or I would just need to be pulled out of there. So we went with a Gladiator to kind of get that going a little bit. We also were in a situation where now that we're not traveling full time in our rig and we're looking to set down routes, I had a 2011 Chevy Silverado 3500 dually diesel, big monster truck.
Yeah.
That is not very good on the roads of North Carolina, which are very windy, and it was just big and depreciating. So we were looking at either getting like an overland style trailer that we would go with the Grand Cherokee. Then when we did more of these overlanding type things, we'd have a trailer that we could take with us for the family.
Yeah.
But when we went to Overland Expo, I mean, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 grand on a trailer. And I was just like, that's nuts. Like,
yeah.
And so I'm like, it's
like Target for women. You go in and it tells you what you need.
I'm like, I could spend a little bit, like 10 grand more, and I could have a brand new vehicle, And I'm like, so that's what we did.
Yeah. I'm hoping to go to Overland Expo and it just give me a Sprinter van. That's what I want.
There were lots of Sprinter vans.
I took lots of pictures for you. I should send you.
I know. You need to. You still haven't sent those to me.
Yeah.
We also needed to think about, because we have 3 kids, and then we have the 2 dogs. And so we were trying to think of vehicles that could be used. And then if he needed to go out on a solo trip or take the boys, or if we all could go, and how we had to work the vehicles and storage and all that kind of stuff. Because when we have the dogs and the kids, we just have the roof rack for storage.
And the Grand Cherokee, if we're all gone.
Yeah.
So we needed something.
And that back seat gets full.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Caleb's over 6 foot, so.
Yeah, I've seen your son. I didn't even know he was back there. He's like squeezed in the back, and I was just like, oh, it's like a clown car. They just keep coming out. And so I was like, oh, there he is.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So Joseph Shalafo, I'm probably saying it wrong. If you know their name, I'm not sure. Says, now that you're residing in North Carolina, are there any trails and or events that are on your list to visit?
So we we don't have any new events scheduled yet. We've been doing events as we travel around.
Yeah, y'all have a lot of meetups.
Yeah,
Yes,
last
a
few
lot of
months have
them.
been a bit of a whirlwind. From my brother got married, my parents moved out of their lifelong home. We started new jobs, new state. So there's been a lot of change for us these
Transitioning,
last 6 weeks, maybe.
Doing a lot in 6 weeks.
Yeah. So we don't have any events planned coming up. We do have, there's Windrock.
We want to go to
in
Windrock.
Tennessee. We want to go to Windrock, although I'm not sure which vehicle I want to take to Windrock. I see some really like nasty pictures coming out of that. So
I mean, you can get nasty pictures come out of anything.
I know,
You know,
but
it's just
every
the
picture I
driver.
see there is like deep mud and a vehicle like sideways. So
Yeah.
but Windrock, and then we'll probably go back again to
I mean, like that.
Uari again. Yeah.
Oh, that's up in Michigan.
That's
up in
Drummond Island
Drummond
there.
Island.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Did y'all go through that?
That was, yep, drove that. What was that, like almost a mile long? Is that what you said? It was
maybe half a mile.
Or it was a long water
A long
crossing.
stretch. And y'all don't have a snorkel on yours, right?
Nope.
Nope.
No, we sent the kids first with long sticks along the side and their muck boots.
That's awesome. So let's talk about that for a second. So you have the 3 kids. We know Caleb does a lot of the drone work.
He does.
He
Much all
does
of it.
it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Most
He
all
crashes
of it.
Caleb
No, that's not true. Like I do it. Like I just put the chief roof
Lauren's
rack
keeping it
video
real,
out. I
just
did all
saying.
that drone work. I know how to do it. But he's much better. Caleb is much better because obviously when we're driving,
He can do the swooping. Yeah.
But Caleb's getting very good at doing if you see us driving, that's Caleb for sure.
He does amazing. I want to commend him again. I know I've messaged y'all privately because he's done some cinematography videos, and your voiceovers were just like, I don't know, it's just so soothing and calming, and the views, it's just, you can only do so much, here in probably North Carolina too, to make it as grandeur, as it is. So it gets hard, but man, he's amazing. And I know your daughter, whenever we went out, she had the little, I guess it's an Osmo. Is that what it is? Yeah. And so she's recording. And then at one side, like your other son had the iPhone. I think one of y'all's iPhones or phones. Mm-hmm. And so you make it a family event when you're out.
We do.
Yeah, we do. And it's, part of the reason we hit the road full time was we needed more time together as a family. We were in a spot where Lauren and I were ships in the night passing, kind of like we would, one of us was always working. The kids would ask like, whose day is it with us today?
It was like a tag team.
Yeah, we call it tag
that's
team.
rough.
So it was kind of rough. So we really wanted to make sure that the whole family, we got to do things together as a family. And so we picked something a little more adventurous, partly because I like adventure, but it was outside and outdoors. So, we were trying to incorporate
no electronics,
right? Everything. And so, but yeah, we want the kids to be involved and feel like they're a part of it. It can sometimes make editing. So I do all the editing on the videos, and sometimes that can be really challenging when I get footage back from, a 10-year-old that was didn't want to be
all
there.
Over the place, looking at the
ground, videoing with rocks.
That's the B-roll.
Yeah. So it's been a challenge to kind of like have them up their game, I guess, or focus on what they're doing, because especially Nora, like she's not really an off-roader. She likes being outside and likes the outdoors, but if you ask her if she likes off-roading, she'll tell you she hates it. So,
well, my daughter, whenever we first went, we went somewhere that was really muddy, and so she was a lot younger. Now she's pretty okay with it. It could come or go, kind of thing. Yeah. But she told me, she goes, "Mom, brown's just not my color." I was just like, okay. So this is how it's going to be. We're going to have to figure that out real quick. She's more of a pink and purple girl.
Quick, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's been struggle. So where's your most favorite place that you've been?
So, like, trail difficulty-wise, or like just...
Give it all to me. Where have you been, and what have you
Hunting was
loved?
beautiful. We both were talking about this. You're right.
You're right for sure. On just straight up pretty. We were there at the end of June this year for the first time, and it just is absurd. Yeah. Waterfalls everywhere, alpine lakes, mountains.
Yeah, that's right when the snow melts. So it's like there's waterfalls everywhere.
You felt like you were in a painting, you know. So that was beautiful. We also really like Sedona.
I haven't been there.
Sedona, Arizona. Yeah, that's worth going. Sedona's great. And they both have really good trails. So like I enjoyed all of Ouray, but I know Lauren had some anxiety in Ouray because it's high mountain passes.
It's very, very high. Except for here, I showed earlier. You should have been okay with that. Because you can't, like, I know what's beyond that sign. There is, and this is way, you can't see nothing.
We could see nothing that day. And so going back down, not knowing, like, we couldn't see more than 2 feet in front of us. And so I'm like, great, we're just going to like drive right off the trail.
So I guess you could have a little, I guess you could see the roads going into nowhere, and then that could cause panic. So yeah, I guess you could see. Yeah.
I do appreciate, like, once we get up high, I do appreciate the views. Like, I like Top of the World. I thought that was stunning. I like that trail because at Top of the World, you have all the challenges going up, but you don't feel like you're on the edge of a cliff the whole trail.
Yeah, because you're very enclosed.
Right. You're really enclosed. And then you get to the top and you get to have this beautiful overlook. And so I did really well with that trail. But yes, after spending a month in Ouray, right? I think we were there, I don't know, 3 weeks or something. We were there about 3 weeks, 4 weeks. My nerves were kind of shot, and we were headed to Moab after that. So
yeah, that's definitely rough.
But
I would love to be able to stay places like that for that long.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I look forward to, not having an agenda. Yeah.
It does help because then you really get a good feel for the area and kind of explore lots of different places within it.
Out west, there's all the Jeep badge trails and, all of the fun things, but we don't want to do that anymore. Like, we've done those, now we want to explore just to go out and see all the places that's not heard of.
Well, you should go to Sedona for sure. Yeah. So Sedona's trails,
you'll have to tell us where to go.
Weren't too crazy, but they're not too bad, but
no.
Broken Arrow
Trail.
We went right when COVID hit, and they shut down all the pink Jeep tours. And so, which are a little crazy in that area. Not knocking the pink Jeeps, but it is nice when they're not around on the trail.
It's just it's pretty congested. The Broken Arrow Trail only has like one way in, one way out, very narrow, and it's super popular. And so the first time we did it, it was empty, and it was spring, and everything was
super
in bloom.
Season. So you're in the desert. It's a super bloom. You've got the red rock. You've got all these colorful flowers, and the trail is empty.
I think we saw one other vehicle the first time.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And there's some fun. Like,
it's
there's
a good
really
trail.
Fun climb on there and stuff. And it's just, that was pretty epic to us. That trail. Yeah.
Okay. So as far as technical, because you said that's beautiful. Where would you say technical wise? I guess Moab.
Well, sure. I mean, if you're going to go one place to hit trails that are technical, that's the place to go.
Technical Poison Spider really pushed us.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
When we did Poison Spider,
that was sketchy in a JK. Yeah.
And the guy that was helping us, you mentioned the spotter must have been good. He was. And if you happen to be on here, thank you for saving our lives. Dwight, actually, we didn't even know them. They had kind of joined us on a group ride like a week or two before that. And we had met them through friends of friends and asked if they wanted to do the trail. And so it turned out great because he was a really good spotter and he helped because you really needed somebody kind of on the front and the back end for some of the obstacles.
Yeah, for sure. And you also need to know, like, someone that has the mentality of where tire placement is, even on a different vehicle than a JK.
With
'cause
our
like you said,
unibody,
yeah, you have to learn how to 3-wheel drive.
Yep.
That's a whole new ball game. Like that changes things for sure.
Yeah.
So what modifications do you have do you have anything on the Cherokee or what else? I know you have a lot of Chief things because we're both Chief ambassadors.
Yeah, so we just went up in tire size a little bit,
Mhm.
but it's the stock air suspension and then skid plating, winch, all of that. So nothing too crazy, but protection where we need it.
Duct tape
Duct tape.
in the other places.
Yeah.
I know your back bumper was a scoop, like in some of the
That
sand
was
places.
before we got
Yeah,
our bumper
that was your
guards.
bumper guard from Chief.
That was thanks to Silver Lake sand dunes.
Yeah, there you
It didn't happen on that obstacle. That was just kind of a fun bowl. He was playing.
Y'all were going up a hill, and
we went up a real steep climb, and we had a friend.
We have a friend. We're still friends.
So Jeff, if you're on here, we're still friends.
Yeah.
No,
like, come on.
He's the kind of friend that likes to send you into peril and gets a good time when you're in peril.
Yeah.
Hey, but to be fair, we let him flip over on a trail. So
I didn't let him, but
oh man,
it happened.
You'll have to tell me that story.
So yeah, that's out at Redbird. If you haven't been out to Indiana,
Nope.
Redbird, Indiana. That's
There's
also
not-
fun trails.
I've not been anywhere pretty much east or north.
yeah.
Oh, you
We've
gotta
been
come
west and mid.
Yes.
Redbird, Indiana is good. It can get pretty muddy, but there's some really good trails out there too.
Yeah. So you have all that coverage. There's so much underbelly coverage that I need to get for my Trailhawk. Just with COVID and everything, Chief, it's really hard to get a hold of anything. And I'm sure you're having that issue now with the Gladiator. So what are your plans with the guy? You're calling it Rookie, right?
Yeah.
I
love it.
I don't know if that name will stick, but that's current
what we're
name.
calling it right now. Because the other one, there's so often I'm sitting there in the car because we take the WK2 out on all these trails, doing all these crazy obstacles, and then I have to drive it 80 miles an hour down the highway, move our family. And so I'm always like, oh, you're so old faithful, Thank you. I feel like one day I'm going to be Wilma Flintstone, and I'm going to.
And the duct tape's just going to
bottom drop out of the Grand Cherokee.
I'm pretty sure Matt's last JK, which its name was Knuckles.
Yeah.
I call it Trash Panda because it was black and silver and kind of Trash Panda-ish. We won't go there because he's not fond of that term of endearment. It was held together by zip ties. And not even colored match zip ties, whatever kind of zip ties he could find, some duct tape. I'm pretty sure if he had gum, he would have held it together with that. It was really rickety.
He's a MacGyver, a man after my own heart, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. I call it frugal. That's what I call it. But now we have the Gladiator. And so what are your plans for yours?
So I really want to try to keep it stock for a while so that I can really.
That's what we all say.
Yeah, I know, but
we're gonna watch.
But I think even
our finances will make us keep it stock for a bit.
That and I really do want to see kind of comparisons between the WK2 platform and the Gladiator. So I feel like I want to do that for a while, at least not lift it and not put bigger tires on until we've I kind of already have ideas of where we're going to hit issues and whatnot, but just to be able to show that and document that before we go lifting. And even then, I really don't want to go, I'm planning maybe if and when after we've done that we'll probably do a 2-inch lift and 35s and kind of call it a day. I really like what you were saying earlier about you can overbuild a rig. Suck some of the fun out of that's 100% true. And so
until you take it to Pritchett Canyon.
Yeah, I know.
And then you're thinking,
we should have done 40s.
40s would look good.
Yeah. We'll do Pritchett Canyon as your passenger.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'll hike it. It's only a 4-mile trail and it took us 13 hours driving it.
Yeah.
I think I'll just hike it.
Hey, that's what I like to spot. I hike all these trails.
Exactly. We get exercise. It's more exercise, right? All right, so
that's chicken stuff.
That's Joey, the Adventures of the Professor. He's a mess. He has a FJ, so we don't even call that stock. We call it byproducts. So love you, Joey.
The gizzards.
So what do you plan on doing? So Lauren, you have the job, right? And you're still full-time, the video editing YouTube side of things. So
and he does some telehealth. So he does
okay. Mm-hmm. So he's doing. So what is your background, Brad?
I'm a physical therapist by education.
By education.
Yes.
Okay. So do you plan on doing solo trips? Do you plan on keeping up with the channel?
Yeah, so I'm gonna need to find some partners. I'm hoping that y'all can help me with some of that as we kind of go around and do some trips. So yeah, we'll still be doing trips. And that's part of the reason we wanted to land in this area is we wanted to be still close to the mountains, still close to areas that we could go do trips and do events.
And your family's there too, right?
Well,
okay.
Like 8 hours away,
Yeah.
Instead of 24 or whatever.
24. We lived in Texas for 10 years. So yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, so trips will still happen, but as far as, and like I said, there's also a off-roading group here. Venture Overland is getting pretty big out here. Venture Unknown.
Yeah.
And so they do group rides in and around the area. I'm going to go on some of them and just be a participant, which I'm kind of excited about. Just like
you're going to be incognito.
Yeah, just
because nobody knows you because you've had the WK2, so they don't usually watch that kind of stuff. So.
Right. Not running any event and just kind of just going to have fun. I'm looking forward to some of that. But yeah, come spring we hope to have events up and still be doing stuff, but also meeting up with folks.
We do have still a trip planned in June we're going back to Uray.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of partnered up some with a professional photography academy, McKay Photography.
I remember Matt mentioning, yeah.
And they're a great group. So what they do is they take people out on these epic photography tours and they teach photography skills. And so what we started doing was kind of tacking a few days on to that trip. And then whoever's interested, we take them on a mini off-road adventure to get out kind of in the middle of nowhere so they can get some more epic pictures.
On hands.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that one's planned for the last week of June.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be out west for some of that. And as far as for me, I'm hoping to flex some of my work so that I can do.
Do you have that capability to where you can do that? That's kind of what I do. That's why I now work locally. So that way I'm not in an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday job now that doesn't offer the vacation. I can move days around.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of, if I can get my job done or depending on what our census is like, things like that, kind of flex it around. So I'm still kind of playing with that a little bit. If my boss is listening, I'm still playing with that.
Please help.
But I explained to him when I first was hired what we do as far as with the off-roading and trips and stuff, and that I would still need to do that at times that I'd have to take off even if I didn't have the time or whatever. And he was okay with that. So
that's one thing I learned. I worked 15 years retail, and at the end of the day, they can find somebody always. Like everybody's replaceable in the job field, but whenever your family and your memories and your time, that's something you do not get back.
Exactly.
And so if I have to lose a little bit here, just to be able to spend some time, like it's worth it. 100%.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, we got into the whole living on the road thing because we weren't getting that time together. And so we know the importance of that. We know how it affects us, and we're not willing to go back that way. So yeah. And we don't want to give up the trips. We love the trips with people because that's when we get to meet all these amazing people that are out there. And there's something about being out in nature, and it just brings people together. So, I mean, you can be completely different and you always find something in common and learn to appreciate each other and just have a good time. And so I think in the world we're in right now, we need more of that, you know?
Yeah, I totally 100% agree. I think that getting out and overcoming obstacles together and being open and relying on somebody else rather than being proud and doing it yourself, it's humbling. There's just so many morals, everything that you can learn out in nature and out off-roading and overlanding. I totally agree with that. Yeah. So Caleb is going to be driving soon. Yeah. So are we going to be getting a different vehicle for him maybe? Is he going to start taking over and Dad's going to drive the Gladiator and he's going to do the WK2?
We don't know yet.
I don't know.
We're not sure how that's all going to play out. He's getting more interested. So, because when we were in Moab the last couple times, we kept saying, "Oh, come on, buddy, this is a great place to." Yeah.
We're in the desert, in the middle of nowhere.
You're not going to hit a thing, you know. Let's try.
Does he have his driving license yet?
No.
Okay. No. I didn't know if y'all could do that there.
15. He won't be 16 till the end of April, but because we weren't back in Texas was still our domicile, but we hadn't been in Texas at all while he was 15 for him to get his permit.
Now explain domicile. What do you mean by that? I don't want to Google the word right now since we're live and all.
Domicile. Sorry. Domicile means your home.
Let me phone a friend.
So it's like your home state, and so that's where we're like citizens of Texas still. Or
I was wondering how that works. So whenever you travel full time, you don't really have.
And you have to have some kind of domicile for things like homeschooling, insurance, mail, all that kind of stuff. So for mail, we have a traveling mailbox service.
How does that work? Explain that a little bit.
So our mail goes to them and they'll scan it to us via email. We'll get it. And then if it's something that's important to us, we'll have them mail it to us wherever we're at. Or if it's not, they'll just shred it.
That's handy.
Packages are a little trickier.
What if you get a check in the mail? I guess they
forward it to us. We just tell them and they'll forward it to us.
Okay.
We've had stuff like that. The packages are the tricky part because
you don't know where you're going to be
going around with, can it come to this post office? Can it go to this campground? Can it,
Have you ever had anything bad happen and not get a package or have to chase?
We've had things sent back. We've had things.
We learned that UPS will not deliver to a general delivery in a post office.
Well, that's good to know.
But they'll bring it. They'll show them the package, and then they'll take it back.
Then they'll take it right back. They'll show up and be like, "Oh, it's the post office. We got to take this back."
Yeah.
Don't we love the
like getting our armor and stuff, like coordinating all of that. We've kind of learned we try to send it to the closest friend or family that we're going to be near instead of some kind of shipping center, because especially with COVID, everything was kind of delayed and you never knew when it was coming, stuff like that.
Well, I'm going to ask you an off the wall question just because I have it on my heart. And after Brad's story at the beginning, I want to ask, and this is my show. So
go for it.
On the road, this is one of the struggles that I'm having. I love our home church. How do you do church on the road? Nobody really ever covers that in their channels. I mean, I guess you can, have the Bible wherever you go, but there's still the gathering and the getting together of people, the connection. How do you do that?
So,
especially with kids.
I can't say we've done it fantastic this whole time. And that's one of the things we're kind of excited about with getting a home base again, is to really have more of a home church community as well at times. But one of the things that was really helpful, especially to me, I felt like there's a whole network out there called Full-Time Families.
Okay.
And it is people who travel full-time, live on the road with school-aged kids.
That's
and
nice.
This network has all these different resources available to people. And one of them is they have a whole
They've got groups.
They've got all these different kinds of groups. I mean, you can
Okay.
find a group for anything that fits your needs, but
Okay.
one of them is called Traveling Mercies. And so it's essentially the group that is people that are Christians.
Like religion-based, yeah.
And so we actually started out our full-timing life. Within the first month, we went and met up with a group of them doing a volunteer project out in
So
New Mexico.
mission work, basically.
Mission work in New Mexico with the Navajo Nation,
Oh,
and
wow.
at a Bible camp,
Yeah.
right? And so we made some really good friends through that initially, and kind of can keep up and meet up on the road and different places. And then I've done some Bible studies where we'll just meet like this on Zoom,
Yeah.
and you can check in. There's a thread for prayers and connections.
Do you ever feel a void of that local? I mean, I guess obviously now
Yes,
that you're
for
back.
sure.
We do.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
do. We kind of came from a season where we had come off of, when we lived in Texas, we had come off of almost needing a little de-churching ourselves, for lack of a better word there.
No,
Without
I get it. Yeah.
too much into it. And so we had kind of come off of a season of
You need to step down a little.
of
take a
needing to
break.
step down. Yeah. And it's really important to us that we love being around people that are different than us. We learn so much from people, and we really believe that everybody is made in the image of God, and because of that has value. And so it's important to us too that we're not just surrounding ourselves by people that are like us and that believe the same things as us. And so that's something that we've really enjoyed being on the road. We've made some wonderful friends and people that I'm so glad they're in our lives. We've learned so much from them. Our lives are enriched by them. And it's and we
I love that.
believe the same thing. Like,
Right.
you
And
know,
it's such a great example that you're setting for your kids too, because kids mimic what they see from their parents. Like, y'all are doing amazing. If y'all haven't been told, y'all are doing amazing. So
well, thank you, Cara.
Yes. Thank
We
you.
have some good kids.
Yeah, we
they
do.
are. And I would say on the road, like the road schooling side of it, I'm kind of veering a little bit, but
no, go ahead.
one of the biggest benefits for our kids is they get to interact with all different types of people and all different kinds of ages. So it's not like they're just around their peer group, or they're just around kids that live the same way as them. And I feel like they have learned so much more and have a bigger worldview in that sense. I mean, our kids wouldn't have always felt fortunate for having a trailer to live in,
Yeah.
And now, like when we upgraded to the bigger trailer, they were so grateful for that door.
Yeah.
We got a door, and just things like that. And and just what other people have taught our kids that we never would have been able to teach them.
Yeah.
I
tell you, y'all are inspiring me so much. And I don't have the picture. I didn't get it. I didn't even think to get it from you, but I even saw at one point, I guess y'all did, was it Halloween where y'all all decorated?
So
y'all
that
all
was
swapped
Moab.
candy or something?
We were in Moab last October and November, and a family that we had met full timing. We were 1 week on the road, and we met this family out in Colorado, and just connected with them, Jess and James, if you're on there. And it was a year later, so we hadn't seen them, and they told us they were going to be in Moab the same time as us. And so they had found this cool spot in Moab to go boondock.
Yeah.
And invited us up there. So
basically like a big open area.
Yep. Huge, flat, open area. Actually, it was the spot Matt came and saw us.
Oh,
at.
yeah.
And
I hate that I didn't get to come see y'all.
I know, it was a bummer. But basically, everybody just kind of invited people they knew that were going to be in the area. And we ended up with a dozen full-time traveling families in the desert for a month together.
Just the experience of getting to
It was
hear everybody's stories.
And the kids taught each other. I mean, I don't think any of us did any kind of formal lessons that whole month, but the kids were writing recipes and creating crafts and making their own shops and selling things and
a little finance.
Yeah, I mean, just crazy, going on hikes together and having meals, the kids camping out in tents and
do any of your kids have phones?
Phones?
Well, our oldest now has a phone he got from his grandparents, and the funny thing is he never used it until about until we got here.
You didn't have service, probably.
So he never used it for making calls. They do. Our kids are allowed to have some tech.
Okay.
We figure we make them be outside quite a bit, so they get their tech on travel days and now on the rig. But but none of them have a phone that they use for, texting people and calling and that kind of stuff. So our kids just haven't had that kind of, They do connect with other kids, though. We do allow kids Messenger with Facebook. And so they have tablets, and there are certain kids that we let them stay connected with and everything. And then we try to meet up at times with families we've connected with and stuff. So we're excited to have some people here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So have y'all been able to establish any relationships there so far yet? Or y'all still in the scope? Like, I know you're staying right now at like a camping place, right?
Yes, but we are not. This is not our home. This is like a meeting room in a campground.
Which is really nice. Like, I've never stayed at a place like that has a meeting room.
Yeah.
Like, I'm lucky to have a vault toilet.
Yeah. I know. We are glamping right now.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes.
No, we're still looking for friends. So if you're in the area, we need friends.
We need friends. Find us.
Find them, Brad and Lauren.
We are about an hour north of Asheville right now. I keep saying that. I'm wrong. An hour northeast.
Mostly east.
Hey, she's a spotter. Doesn't mean she has to be the navigator.
Well, she usually is much better.
I don't have the directionally challenged.
Well, see, I do. I've sat through so many classes of Matt's that I finally at the end, he just uses me to draw numbers for people to win. It's more turn left by the local Walmart. Now, I will say on trails that I have been on before, I can tell you, just because I have a photographic memory of like where the turns are and where certain trees are, like, and I can tell you where there's cell phone service through the Ozarks, because I'm like, and that's invaluable information that people need to know.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay. So we've got just a few minutes here. We're a little over. I love you guys. Y'all are amazing. You're inspirational, and your heart speaks for itself. I'm not going to cry. But anyways, tell us what we can see from you next, where you're going, what's your plans, how people can reach out to you if they have questions, all the things. Go for it.
Yeah. No. We're not very good at promoting ourselves. We will tell you that. I will say we just hit 10,000 followers on YouTube.
That's right. I didn't even mention that. That's amazing.
If you do not follow us on YouTube, look up Prodigal Overland, and please hit that subscribe button. Yeah. And then you can
turn
see
on the notifications.
Our sons, our 15-year-old sons, awesome drone work, and Brad's editing. So you can find us on YouTube. You can see us on Instagram with Prodigal Overland. Facebook, unfortunately, we're not super active on Facebook. We do have a private group for our patrons and people that have been on a trip. So if you do come and join us on a trip sometime, we try to offer some more connectedness afterwards with that. And then our website is just prodigaloverland.com. And on there, we will update with trips that we have coming up. We do have some resources. We talk about the gear we have. Just some tips and tricks and stuff like that. As far as events, we are hoping to have some up there coming.
Spring.
have events planned for the spring and maybe, but probably won't be announcing them until next month.
Yeah.
Because we're still kind of working out those details. If there's somewhere you're really interested in going, or if you know the like the Western North Carolina area, Eastern Tennessee, Virginia, Georgia, right? That's all right in our little path.
Yeah.
If you have a place to go or something you want to do, reach out and let us know.
That's way awesome. And you, like you mentioned, you do have Patreon, so people can support you. I know we are supporters of you guys because y'all are amazing. But yeah, reach out to them. I think you have different tiers, all that. You can just look y'all up on Patreon, right?
Yes, we are there as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been great, you guys. Y'all have a great rest of the night. I appreciate y'all coming on so much. And everybody else, next week we have Cindy Pope with Core. She's with Northology Adventures, and I can't wait to share a little bit more about her. But thanks for watching Wonder Repeat, guys. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Cara.